Good morning. Good morning and happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. Good morning. Today is December 14th. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me get rid of that weird little desk. Oh man, how did I do it? Good morning. Sorry, let me figure out how to get rid of that silly thing. Oh, oh my goodness. All right. Good morning, Sandra from Oklahoma. Oh, it's cold. Wind chill of 4. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's what is it here? It is 28 degrees here in New Hampshire. It is snowing. Um, let's see. Roxy is in Chicago. It is bitterly cold. 2 below right now, but it feels like 19 below. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Ugh. No thanks. You can keep that. But Lisa, good morning, Lisa from North Carolina. Lisa's got to be warmer than all of us right now. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Liz. Liz is joining us from Minnesota, where it's also cold. And Ken is joining us from right here in my hometown. Good morning, Ken. Yay, everybody's joining us. Cool. So, how is everybody doing? Oh, Bert, you joining me? Yay. Wind chill, 33 below. Yuck. That's terrible. Yuck. Liz is, oh, okay. Lisa's got 40. Lisa's got 40. She wins. Lisa is the warmest so far. Ah, how is everybody's week? Is everybody ready for Christmas? I'm almost ready for Christmas. Um, everything I have, I think, is wrapped, but I still have a couple of things left to get. So we'll see. Let's see. So we've done, let me see, a couple of videos where we've done some boxes. So we did some where if you were giving gift cards, so we've done those, and we did little ones last week and the week before. So today I'm actually going to show you how to, okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a box if you have to wing it. Sandra's ready for Christmas. Yay. So I'm going to show you how to make a box if you have to wing it. Because, okay, so I'm not actually winging it today. I did actually make a box so that I could like prove out the dimensions and stuff, but I'm going to show you how to kind of do it if you have to wing it, which is kind of what I did this morning. I just grabbed something from my craft room. I have a bottle of like room spray, just something that I would maybe want to give to somebody as a gift. And, I want to make a box for it. So let me switch down to the desk camera. And I'm so glad, like my sound quality is good this week. So everything seems to be working pretty good. Yay. All right, so let me switch down to the desk camera there. And let me see. All right. So, move my coffee out of the way. I will spill that. Okay. So this, I just, I just say that you have maybe you have a bottle of, custom or handmade olive oil or something like that you wanted to give. Room spray, a lot of people make their own room sprays and stuff like that. Anything that you want to give like this, maybe you need, a narrow barrel box. So that's what I was thinking I would do today for this box. And I'm going to actually I'm pulling some stuff out of like old stuff from Stampin' Up. I am pulling the old stuff out, you guys. I am using, I'm gonna use patterned paper, a designer series paper from 2003. That's right, 2003. Okay. So there's some new stuff and there's some old stuff that I'm going to be pulling out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have to figure out what size box do I even need for this thing. So if this is the gift that I'm going to be giving to somebody, the first thing I want to do is I need to know, like, how big is this, the box, how big of a box do I need? I'm just going to measure it real quick. So I'm just measuring, the bottle itself measures about 6 inches. You guys can see that. Hold it like that. It measures about 6 inches. So I'm going to obviously want a box that's a little bit taller than that so that there's some room in there for tissue and, you know, whatever. So we can go, say, 6.5 inches. And then I need to know, how big around do I need all of this box to be? So this measures it measures under, 2.5 inches. But I obviously, again, I want a little bit of wiggle room in there for tissue paper and, to reach your hand down in to grab the item. So I decided with this box to wrap this particular item that I was going to do a box that was 6.5 inches tall, and then it would be 2 3/4 inches on all 4 sides, so that we could use. So if you have 2 3/4 inches on 4 sides, you can use a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So when you are making a box, you really, if you have a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, you need 4 sides, but you also need a tab that you can use to glue the 2 of the sides together. So you can't make anything, you can't make a 3-inch square box out of a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. It has to be something just a little bit less, which is why I went with the 2 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to use up basically my whole 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper to get my 2 3/4. Now I could have gotten a little bit smaller because this is under 2.5 inches, but I'm going to go with the 2 3/4. So you can do anything up to, I would say anything up to like maybe a 2 7/8 inch. I wouldn't go too much more than that for square. Okay. So now we know what size our box is. Let's start. I'm pulling out some 12 by 12 paper. So I'm going to get my Night of Navy. And this is the patterned paper, the designer series paper that I'm pulling out. And it's like, I know you can't really see it, but up here in the corner, oh, you can see it there a little bit. 2003, Stampin' Up. Okay. This has Night of Navy and Old Olive. And I think this is actually like, the lighter one is like a Certainly Celery. I think Certainly Celery was that color. Yeah, I think that one was Certainly Celery. And I can't remember the lighter one here, the lighter blue there. But I thought this color coordinates really well. And it's got the Old Olive in it, which is still a current color. So Night of Navy and Old Olive. So we could pull those 2 colors in if we wanted. I'm just going to set that one aside. And I'm going to do some scoring on my 12 by 12. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer. Now we know that the box is going to be 2 3/4 inches on all 4 sides. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually score what's going to be for the bottom of my box, the tabs that are going to fold in on the bottom, because we know that those are going to be, they cannot be any more than 2 3/4, or they won't close for the box. So I'm going to score here at 2 3/4 along one side. And then we also know that our box, we want our box to be 6.5 inches tall. So I'm going to now just move this. So I'm basically moving my score line here up to the 6.5 inch mark. When I do that, I'm bringing the edge of my paper to 9 1/4. So 6 1/2 and 2 3/4 equals 9 1/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to score. And haha, I get enough of a flap here. I can use this for whatever. I can use it for another project. I can use it for, you know, whatever I want. So I'm going to actually, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to make a top for this box. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do a top. So I'm going to actually cut that at 9 1/4. I'm going to bring in, we're going to make a top for it. We're going to make an old olive top for it because I think that will be cool. So we'll do that. All right. Now we're going to rotate it. So we have our sheet right now is still 12 inches because we haven't done anything along that side. So we've got 9 1/4 inches, and it is only scored at that 2 3/4. Okay. Now we're going to rotate it, and we're going to score at all of our sides. So we're going to score at the 2 3/4 inch. And then we're going to move it over again, and we're moving it over 2 3/4 again. So that's at the 5 1/2 inch mark. And we're going to move it over 2 3/4 inches again, which puts you at the 8 1/4 inch. I know that's hard to see when I'm using the blue paper, the camera, the color on the camera changes to like it's a weird yellow. All right, so we'll do that. So 8 1/4. So we're at 2 3/4, 2 3/4, and then we're at 5 1/2, and then we were at 8 1/4, and then we're going to move this over to the 2 3/4, another 2 3/4 inches, which puts us at 11 inches. Okay, so we're going to score at 11 inches. That gives us a 1 inch tab over here. Now, do you need 1 inches to glue to the box? You don't, but you want at least like maybe a 1/2 inch. So if you wanted to cut this down to some 1/2 inch or whatever, you could do that. I'm just going to go ahead and leave the full 1 inch there. Okay. Let me just move that out and grab some scissors, and I'm just going to show you, we're going to do a little bit of trimming. So I'm going to, this 1 inch section, this is going to be a tab. So I'm going to do those angle cuts that we do to make it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to trim a little angle on this edge right up to that score line, just like that. And now I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to actually remove this little section here. We're not going to need it. So I'm going to cut my little tab down to that score line where the score lines intersect, like that. And then I'm just going to come in and remove this piece altogether. Oops. Like so. Okay, so this is what we have, like that. Now these 4 smaller sections, these are going to be the flaps that fold for our box. 2 of them, when you have all of them and they're all square, when you have all of them and they're all square like that, you have a lot of bulk in the bottom of your box. So we're going to tab, like we did this one, we're going to tab some of these also. You really only need 1 of these to be square, because that's going to be the one that's on the outside, the very bottom of the box, to give it that finished look. So it does not matter which one. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just doing very narrow tabs here. I'm just coming up to each one of them and basically cutting, you know, like a little triangle out at that score line, like that. Like that. And then we do want to leave one completely square because that's going to be the one we leave on the outside. So I'm just going to come up and cut at an angle for this one there, but I'm going to cut straight on that score line here. Like that. Okay. So this is what we have now. So we have our tab on the side here, and we have 3 tabs for the bottom and then 1 complete section for the bottom. Okay. And then we have our 4 sections up here. So we came up with the size of this box ourselves. So we don't have a preset dimensions to decorate our box. So you created whatever size box you create. Now you have to decide what size are your sections. Well, we know that they're 6.5 by 2 3/4. Now you can measure them if you wanted to. 2 3/4 by 6.5. Okay. So if you want to layer pieces of your designer series paper on these 4 sections, all 4 sections will be seen. This tab right here is the only part that won't be seen. So, and we're going to put designer series paper on all 4 of these sections. You can do this after your box is all together if that's what you want. I like to do it while the cardstock is flat on my table because I can make sure that it's down. There's no lumps, no bumps. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my my designer series paper so that I can layer that on here. So any of you that follow me or have been following me know I like a nice narrow border. I like to see more of the designer series paper. So for the length from the top to the bottom for how, you know, the height, it's 6.5 inches. So I'm going to take and I'm going to actually I want to make sure I don't get those little words that are on the paper. I want to make sure that I don't get that. So I'm going to come in here to where the 6.5 inch is. And I'm actually just going to back it off 1/8 of an inch because I want 1/16 on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to cut this, line that right up. Sorry, I'm going to cut this at 6 3/8 of an inch. Okay. Like that. Now, let's move this out of the picture for a minute. So now when I lay this on here, I can see that I have a nice narrow border on each side there. So now I want to cut each section. If this were a pattern, a running pattern or a directional pattern, you want to be really careful when you cut it that you're keeping your pattern in line with the sections that you're doing and that you're cutting them, you know, first, second, third, and fourth section. This one, it's just a bunch of circles. It doesn't really matter, but I am going to cut them just in case, you know, that one of the circles match up at an intersection. So I'm going to cut these exactly in order. Okay. So bring the trimmer back in, and we said that each section was 2 3/4. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm coming up to the 2 3/4, and then I'm just, where are the words? I took the words off already. So I'm coming up to the 2 3/4, and I'm really just backing off 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So I'm coming in here, I'm cutting this at 2 5/8 of an inch. So each section is going to be 2 5/8. Because they're all the same. So 2 5/8. This is going to be my first panel. And this is, I like to do this. So if I'm going to take my panel here, I'm going to take my patterned paper and just set it right in there so I know which section that's going in, and put my designer series paper in here again, and I'm going to put this at the 2 5/8 and lay that one in the right section. 2 5/8. This designer series paper is so fun, and this is like, I mean, this could be used for Christmas. This really could. They look like little ornaments, you know, or little baubles or whatever, but also cute for like a little boy's birthday or something. Very cute, very fun. And I think they did this in, they were like pinks. It was done in like pinks too. And this is back when it wasn't double-sided. Wasn't double-sided. Wasn't double-sided, and they printed that. They had the Stampin' Up! And the date printed on the corner, which was great, but you had to be real careful with the placement of that corner. All right, so let's come in here. I'm actually going to use my Stampin' Seal to do this instead of my liquid glue. Again, the reason I like to set these in place is, especially since it's not really a directional pattern, but I want those circles to match up. So I want to know which side is up and down. So this helps me keep that all in place. I'm just going to add some. Here and here. Ooh, that's sticky. All right. And then just come in here and add holding my breath as I'm putting that on there. I'm looking at it from kind of like from an angle and a distance because I'm not right over it. So there. Okay. Now we'll do this one, because I would bump my head on the camera if I tried to get right over it. There and there. Oops. There. This one's going to go here. Line that right up. Beautiful. And there, and this is actually a little tip I actually learned from Susan Campfield when I'm using my Stampin' Seal. When you run it, to give it just that little 90-degree turn at the end. So come in here and just 90-degree turn. It helps to kind of break that so that you don't get that little long string of tape. And sometimes I find I can twist it away from me, and sometimes I will get the long string that way, so I have to twist it towards me. So there is our last one. There. Oh my God. Morning, Mom. Morning, Dad. All right, so now we're going to do some folding. And where is my bone folder? Here. I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to fold and burnish on all of these score lines. Okay. All of these score lines there. This one. And same with these ones here that are going to be the bottom. Now, if you wanted to, not that you have to, but if you wanted to, if you had an item that was going in your box that wasn't real heavy, and you wanted to have a little less bulk in the bottom of your box, you could actually cut 2 of these bottom panels in half so that they met in the middle. So I would do 2, alternating ones so that they met in the middle instead of overlapped. You know what I mean? I want, because of the item I'm going to put in is a full bottle of something liquid, so I want all of that extra weight at the bottom. And all right, so when I'm putting a box like this together that's going to hold something heavy, I want to make sure that this tab is really going to hold this box together. I don't want the box to split apart. I am going to use my tear and tape for this. Now, if you have Stampin' Seal Plus, or if you have some other really super duper strong tape, use that. I'm going to use my tear and tape, and I'm actually going to use a couple strips of it. Again, if you have an item in here that's, if you're not going to use this for something heavy, you could get away with a narrower tab and only 1 strip. If you're gifting this box, you don't, and they're, maybe they're going to keep it and they'll gift something else in it. I just think it's better to have it as strong as possible so that if they reuse the box, it will stay put for them also. All right, so now we're going to take this and we're going to match up these 2 corners and put this box together, okay, like this. Now, I like to do this instead. My box is completely square, so I'm actually going to lay this flat because, and I'll tell you why. I've seen a lot of demonstrators do this and try to match this up. My hands are shaking just a little bit. I get this off. This is very strong tape. I don't want to have to try to peel it off, rip my cardstock, especially if I'm using, an older cardstock or, maybe a thinner cardstock. So I'm just going to fold it. So I'm folding it down, keeping my tab straight, folding it down at that second score line. And then I'm going to fold this score line. I'm going to fold it down straight. It's going to match perfectly with that. It's going to fold flat in the other direction as well. Okay, both directions, it's going to fold flat, and we have that box. So now I want to make sure I know where my square bottom is. I'm going to tuck all of these in, and then I'm going to glue this bottom down. I do not feel like I have to glue each individual section down. You can if you want. I'm going to also use my tear and tape for this, just because it's the bottom of the box. So I'm going to put my tear and tape on here, oops, and on all the sides. Like that, and one more side. Like so. Just burnish that tape on there. Real good. Take that release paper off. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to stand this up. I'm just going to move that out of the way so you can see this. So I have folded all of my flaps in, and I like to fold, I like to fold the 2 across from each other first, then fold this one. It doesn't matter. You can fold them any which way you want. You can fold them any which way you want. I just fold these 2, then this one. I'm making sure that my box is nice and square because I'm going to put this flap down, and it's going to hit squarely on all those corners. Oops. Like, oop, oop. All right, like so. There. Now, I would take this box And I would put my heavy item in there. Oh, thanks, Bert. It's not too hard. There, I would put my heavy item in the box and just let it kind of sit while I made the top for this, just so that it's putting pressure on the bottom of the box and helping that glue just kind of adhere. Okay. Boom. All right. So while that's doing that, let's just set this aside for a minute and let's grab some Old Olive. So I'm going to grab Old Olive and we're going to make a top for this. And I have some scrap. All right. So let's figure out what we want to do here. So because we need to know, do we have a piece of cardstock that's even big enough? Okay. Our box, we know, is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And we want at least, I would say at least 3/4 of an inch down the box. So when your box comes down, you want at least 3/4 of an inch down here. I feel better with at least an inch. Okay, so I'm going to go with it needs to be at least an inch. So if my box is 2 3/4 and I need an inch on either side to come down, then my cardstock that I'm using has to be at least 4 3/4. This cardstock is not. Okay. So not only does my cardstock need to be 4 3/4, but remember, this has to be, the top has to be just a smidge bigger than the bottom of the box so that it will fit over the box and that you don't have to squish the box in to get the top to fit. So I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock, a full piece, because we're not going to be able to get our top out of a piece of my scrap. All right, so we're going to do, we need a piece that is, hold on, let me show you. All right, so we're going to do, I'm just going to grab my trimmer and do this because I'm not, all right, let me grab my trimmer. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit on that. Oh, good morning, Luann. Yay, you made it. This one, you zoom in just a little bit here. Okay, I'll try to keep an eye on that, make sure I'm not getting too far out. Okay, so I won't really need that. All right, so, and this is our box is square, so our top is going to be square. So I'm going to do the dimensions just in one way. So this is just how, again, I'm winging it, right? We're just winging it. We got to try to figure out how to make a box. We don't have anything pre-made. We just have something, an awkward size. We decided we had to make a box for it. We want a top. All right. So we want a 1-inch side for our box. And then our box is 2 3/4. So we're going to move this up to the 3 3/4. And then we want a 1-inch flap for the other side. So we're going to move this up to 4 3/4. And then our box, our top, needs to be 1/16 larger than our bottom. So I'm just going to take, after doing all of that, I'm just going to move this up 1/16. And this is going to be the size I need for my box. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to just flip. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm putting this for this and again, it's just for this particular box. I'm doing the same thing. I want my 1-inch side. My top is going to be 2 3/4. So I'm going to move this up. There's my 1-inch. And then I'm going to move it up to 3 3/4. Did I do that right? 3 3/4. And then I'm going to move it up to 5 3/4. I didn't do that right. Oh, you guys, I didn't do that right. All right. where is, hold on. Oh my goodness. All right, let's try it again. All right, there's my 1 inch for my side. My box is 2 3/4, so I have to add 2 3/4. So I'm going up to 3 3/4. There, I did it right that time. And then I want a 1 inch flap over here. So now I'm going up another inch, 4 3/4. And then I have to add the 1/16. So there. Did I do it right the first time, you guys? Let me see. Did I? I think I did do it right the first time. There I was doubting myself, and I did it right the first time. I hope I did not just confuse you, but now we have what we just did for our size. Let's just rotate it and do it one more time. So I'm going to have my 1 inch flap. So I'm bringing it up to the 1 inch. And I know my box is 2 3/4. So I'm going to move my paper up to 2 3/4. So I have to go up to 3 3/4. So now I have my 2 3/4 plus an inch. And now I'm going to have a 1 inch flap. So I'm going to move it up another inch for my 1 inch flap. And then I'm going to move it up that 1/16 of an inch. So I should now have a square that measures, and this is not doing any kind of math at all. This is just saying, okay, my box is 2 3/4 and I want a 1 inch flap. I'm saying I need a 1 inch flap, and I'm going to add my 2 3/4, bringing it up to 3 3/4, and then I'm going to add my 1 inch flap on the other side. Now, and then adding the 1/16. Now, the reason I do it that way is from this point, the only thing I have to score is my 1 inch flap. That's all I have to do. So I'm just going to come in here and score my 1 inch flap all the way around. That extra 1/16 of an inch that I gave myself in both directions, that's going to be on the inside. So that's going to be added to that 2 3/4 because I'm going to score just my 1 inch flap. So I'm just going to rotate it and score 1 inch all the way around. Just like that. Move that out of the way. And so that's what you get. All right, let me zoom back out again. Where's my zoom button? Okay, zoom back out. All right, so now we are going to make tabs because we're going to fold this and we're going to glue this. So all I'm going to do is we're going to tab these end pieces here, the small pieces. So angle cuts on the smaller sections. Oops. And then straight cut for that middle. Oops. Okay. I didn't cut very straight on that middle. Sorry, let me just do that again. Okay. I know. It's not much, but it was bugging me there. So middle, I'm going to do that straight cut, and then I'm going to come in here with my angle on this small section, and then angle on the small. Like that. And then I'm just going to rotate it all the way around. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So let me do my 2 straight cuts first so I don't mess those up. Like that. So now you have 3 sections. These 2 small sections are your tabs. So tab, like that, and then like that. And again, you don't have to do these tabs. I know we've talked about this in previous videos. You don't have to. You can leave them straight. You just get too much bulk in there. And it makes it a little bit harder. So I'm just going to just fold these just like that. I'm going to burnish them. but I wanted to see something. Where did that go? I wanted to see if this thing, so this is one of the punches, comes in a set of 3. And I forget what it is. It's a ribbon, well, it's a ribbon slot, but it's, I want to see if it'll fit in there. So no, it won't. So my thought was that I would put like a little slit here in the top near the edge and thread a ribbon up through there so that you could actually tie, and you could probably do this manually, but so that you could put a ribbon around the bottom and up, and then have it thread up through the top, and you could tie a bow. So you could still do it. You can do it manually. I don't know, I have this old one still doesn't work either. Still doesn't. So, all right, that idea is not going to work, but you could actually cut a little slit right there. I think I'm going to just skip that for right now. That is what I think. So I'm just going to come in here and use my, oops, I didn't. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal. Use your words, Tina. I'm going to put my Stampin' Seal on all these tabs here. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with this top, because I may put some kind of maybe I'll put an embossed panel on the top or something instead. So I just put adhesive on all of those tabs, and I'm going to come in now and just put them all together, and I'm putting corner to, the edge of the end piece to the score line. You want to make sure that you're not overlapping it at all, because this does have to fit down over your box. So right there to the score line, and same thing here, right to the score line. And then I'm just going to come in with my bone folder and give that tape a good burnish on both sides like that. And then, so I would decorate the top, or like I said, maybe I might find something, and I may even come in with like my craft knife and just cut a slit in here and tie a bow. But I'm thinking, oh, you guys, we could do that. Okay, hold please. On this one, we're going to cut a little square. So our box is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. This is 1/16 bigger on each side. I'm not going to even bother with that. I'm going to cut myself a little square that is, let's see, I'm actually going to go 2 1/2. So this one will have a little bit wider of a border around it. So I'm going to go 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. And I'm doing that because I may end up going back in with this one and doing a ribbon on the top. So I'm just going to cut 2 1/2-inch square. And let me grab my, I'm going to grab an embossing folder. One of my all-time favorites, and how cute will this be on that box? Ooh, so excited about this one. Okay, because I'm thinking this can go right in the middle, smack dab in the middle, like that. Like that. Bam. Grab my, move this stuff over out of the way. Grab my machine. I'm just going to pull this into the camera. So put my base plate down, and then this is a 3D embossing folder. So I'm going to use the embossing folder with my cardstock still nicely centered in there. And then I'm just using my number 4 plate. Put that in there, and let's roll that through. A little hard. Okay. Big clunk. Yep. Okay. And then let's take a look at that. Okay. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Gorgeous. I can't wait to see. Okay, so that's going to go on there. Oh my God. That's super cute. All right, this I'm going to put on with my liquid glue because it is a 3D embossing. So there's a lot of lifted cardstock. So I need as much on there as I can get. I'm going to center that like that, like so. I'm just going to flip it over and just give it a little, just a little. I'm not pressing hard. Just make it nice and easy, nice and easy. There. Gorgeous. Look at the top to that. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so now obviously I would put tissue paper and all of that in there. And then this cover just fits nicely on the top. So it just slides right on and off. Boom, just like that. Now you could even, oh, I gotta press that on a little bit more. It's starting to lift a little bit on there, but I'll do that. But you could even put like pieces of embossing cardstock on all four sides. And so my thought was to take a piece of the, and this is just, I don't know, some cheap, I think I got this ribbon at like Joann's or something. And my thought was to come up like through the, I'll just do this to hold it, to come up through the cover here so that you had this kind of a look for this box. Cute. I love it. Now I have to buy something to put in this box. I love it. So I'm gonna figure that one out. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna put this on the, I'm actually gonna put that on the bottom, and I'm gonna hold that in place so that it helps that embossing, that embossed panel right there. So I want to show you another box I'm working on. So when I was trying to work through all of the dimensions for this one, I wasn't I like this one, and I want to do this one. This will end up being a an alternate. So what I did for this one is I need to tab this one. So this one is all done exactly the same way. This is actually all of the same measurements. It's the 6.5 by the 2 3/4. It's all of that. Instead of cutting that top off, what I did was I just scored it. And then the 3 sections that were here, I cut the first 2 sections off, and then I cut just most of the 3rd section off. Created 2 tabs, the inch tab here that I didn't end up cutting off, and then the inch tab here. And then this obviously didn't have a tab on here, so I did this. I added a little panel to the inside so that I could have a front flap. I did this for one of those other small boxes that I had. And then I added that little thumb relief here. So this one will eventually, I'll do this and it'll close, the bottom will close the same way. But then this one will come in and do this, and this will all tuck in that way. So I'll decorate this one the same way. And then this one will just be the open this way. So working on this, but with this one, I would have done this one this way, but I really wanted to bring in that old olive because I think that isn't that gorgeous? That is just so, I love it. It's so gorgeous. Bringing both of those colors in. You see just the hint of the Night of Navy here. There's a lot of blue going on in there and the blue bottom. And then obviously when you open it, it's all blue on the inside. So I love it. This box is so cute. So I'll post pictures of this one obviously on my Facebook and Instagram, and I will finish this one and figure out how it's going to go together. I'll finish this one, take pictures of this one, and I'll put these pictures over there also. Let's see. Did I have anything else I wanted to share with you guys? Oh, well, I don't know. One thing. So I am, Mom, don't kill me. Okay. Don't kill me. But so I'm going to flip this back to me so that you guys can, so I can talk to you. Okay. Here. Okay. So Christmas is coming and we are getting together with our family, mom and dad, everybody. We're getting together on Sunday, the 28th. Sunday is when I do my videos. So I am going to see if maybe, Mom, don't kill me. You know where I'm going with this. I'm going to see if maybe I can actually broadcast my live stream from Mom and Dad's house. And I have asked Mom and Dad to maybe pop into my video so you guys can actually meet my mom and dad. Help me convince them. Help me convince my mom and dad to pop in and be guests on my live stream for the 28th. Now I do have to figure out all of the logistics of it. I have to figure out how to bring, like, you know, all of my supplies for my project there, plus my laptop and webcam and ring light. But I think I can do it. I think I can do it. And I think you guys would like to see my mom and dad. So help me convince them. Yeah, the colors go great together, right? Yes. I love that the blue, the navy and the old olive are the classics. Love them, love them, love them. And I'm so glad that they are still, like, after all these years, that they are still colors, you know, standard colors for Stampin' Up. Yes. Yep. Luann says yes, Mom. So, yeah. Perfect. Yay. Okay. So I will be back next Sunday, which is what, the 21st. It'll be the last live stream before Christmas. I'll be doing a card, unless you guys want to see a box, but my plan is to do a card. So I'll have to figure that out. And yeah, anyway, I hope that you all have a great week. Oh, let me see. Sandra from Oklahoma says, yes, Mom. Mom, the votes are in. So we got to try to figure it out. Okay. All right. I hope you all have, the paper is amazing. The paper is amazing. That cardstock is amazing. It's from 2003. It's incredible. I also can, okay, Mom says that she'll see. All right, keep your fingers crossed, you guys. I'm gonna work on her. I'm gonna keep working on her. I think Dad's in. I think Dad's a yes. I gotta work on Mom. All right, so I will see you guys all next week. We'll make a card, and yeah. So have a great week,